All right, Spiro, thank you very much. What a finish. 13 in the fourth, 20 of his 28 in the second half, and they say he's supposed to be a rookie in Spider Mitchell. We bring you inside our studios. We'll have all the presser coverage, analysis of this game, and get you to Cleveland as well and hear from both coaches and talk about that one as well. Casey Stir, Ryan Hollins, the Godfather, David Griffin, and the Grindfather, Tony Allen. Yeah, guys, this is T.I., I'll start with you because, I mean, you've sat there, you've defended the best for years. How impressed are you with what Mitchell was doing offensively and how much he took ownership of this game in the second half?
Well, like he said, going to the hole is his strength. He took advantage of that. He said he let him off the hook the first half by shooting a lot of jump shots. And once he got it going, it was hard to stop him. And then, not Minnesota, Oklahoma City were on their heels.
This is the play. I know.
Yeah.
What did you see here on this spin?
Good move. I thought we was, if the Oklahoma City Thunder is trying to help, we gotta get the ball out of his hands. He's 20 points in the second half. He's cooking. You gotta make somebody else beat you. And I thought that was a heck of a move. Great deep at Paul George. But if our team coverage is to get those other guys to make shots, let's do that. Let's just run the trap out.
I want to get both of you guys on this because you were just talking about this, Ryan. Look, Paul George is one of the better defenders in the league. We were all talking about this. But how do you kind of get between PG wants to take him one-on-one and thinks he can, and, hey, look, the smarter play is to get others involved because right now nobody can stop Donovan Mitchell.
Man, that's hero ball defensively. We just saw that play again, and when you go back to it and you know it, you look on film, you're going to see three other guys with their hands at their side, not in the stance, not active, and right when he spun, you got to be there for the dig. That's a steal, and we win the game. And also, when you know a kid's hit 3 or 4 shots in a row, Griff, we're sending a double. Somebody else has to beat him. Am I wrong?
The thing that really stood out for me in this whole thing is, in addition to everything you guys are talking about in terms of the weak side awareness and the game plan awareness and the attention to detail that it would have taken to get the ball out of Donovan's hands, you've played this whole game knowing that no one else on Utah's team is creating offense for you. So
at all.
Why do you play with fire once he has it rolling? I think PG did an amazing job, particularly in the first half, of making things really difficult for Donovan. He was very, very uncomfortable. But to Tony's point, they were much more locked in on the game plan and always showing bodies in the paint and letting him see a wall much more often. And I think they just lost sight of what had been working so very well for them.
You know, one of the things that became a major factor we can all talk about in this game, and I'll begin with you, Ryan, is that from inside, what he said about Favors, 20 and 16, second chance points were double in favor of Utah. Rebounds, they out-rebounded him by a bunch. Inside, when it counted, those hustle plays, they all seemed to go to Utah.
It's funny, I got a chance to talk to Derek Favors before the series, and I told him, as a fellow big guy, he's the last of the Mohicans, and he could be of us big guys playing in this small ball era, in that he can play inside and outside, and he's an X factor. If he looks at this Thunder roster, there's nobody on that roster who can guard him, and Utah actually plays big, and they're very successful. So when he's in there, it gives them an added dimension. And for Rudy Gobert, Rudy played great. Rudy's just more comfortable with Derek Favors on the floor. And the rest of the team, that's how they played. That's how they've been successful all season long.
I want to get to the other side because we sat there, as you look at Utah and you see what we saw on their end. From the side of Oklahoma City, guys, there were some possessions late, including one that stood out to me, Griff, where you could just tell Russ wanted to keep the ball. He got it out of his hands for a second. Melo settles for a deep three. And look, Melo's hit big shots in his career. We know that. But when you see what Paul George has done the first game into this game, you know who Russ is. That can't be the shot that you're taking in that spot.
Well, and Russ was exasperated on that particular play because I think he did realize if I get off the ball, I can get it back in a better situation.
The only reason he did it.
He very much got off of it expecting to come back around and get it in a better position. So when Melo took the early shot, I think he's frustrated because he saw something there. He saw an opportunity that they didn't capitalize. I'm really struck by the irony in a night where LeBron does what he does, 46 and 12 tonight, after not being at all aggressive. And here we've got Russell Westbrook with 13 assists in the game, 19 points. And when he wanted to be aggressive and start to turn it on, he just wasn't able to get the ball back. It was interesting.
How much, Tony, from a defense standpoint, even though we all talk about, well, Russ needs to give it away more, how much is he playing into your hands as a defender and the team on defense if he's giving it up more instead of attacking the basketball?
Yeah, it's not much of a headache if you got him passing. Willing Westbrook passing, as far as the driving Westbrook, you like your chances with him passing. But when he attacking down that lane and he doing a little bit of everything, he's great. But tonight, I mean, they went 19 for 58, the big three. We got to have all three of those guys shoot a better percentage if they want to get a win in these playoffs.
You know, it's funny because how do you hit the one in the middle on this, Griff? Because we all sit here all year and we say, well, Russ needs to move the ball, he needs to pass the ball. I mean, I even joked with you. You guys did a demo earlier and you said you were Russ. I said, did you shoot? You said no. I said, so you weren't Russ. So this is all we talk about. But we need to have him more aggressive. So what's the plan got to be going into game 3?
I think the reason he wasn't able to be as aggressive was Utah did a really good job. It was a very concerted effort on their part to get Adams out of the game. They took Steven Adams out of the game with foul trouble. Steven only played 22 minutes. A huge part of what enables Russ to get going is the roll action from Steven. And everyone that he sucks down into the paint, frankly, illegally screens half the paint down underneath the basket. But he enables Russ to get going downhill to a huge degree. So in his absence, it was just really hard for them to find a way to get him going because they have not run a great degree of guard-guard sort of screen action. They haven't run Paul and Russ in screen action very often. And that's the kind of thing that would have given Utah a different look when Adams was out of the game.
Yeah, I want to go back to Mitchell if I can with everybody here. And from you guys have played with all kinds of teammates. You know what it's like to be a young player. You're sitting there and breaking down, okay, there are young kids with talent, but what's in here to make that sixth tool different? How off the charts is it to see guys like Simmons who are watching and now Mitchell, so young, yet so confident in spots like this? It's one thing to sit there and think you're all that and say it. These are guys who are going out. That play that he made, that spin, you got to have ultimate confidence to make that kind of play.
You know, it's funny. We talked about this earlier. We compared him to a young Russ, a young D. Wade, but we all had the consistency that he's more polished than anything we've ever seen from these guys at such a young age with that type of athleticism. And now you saw it tonight. Griff, you said it. When Adams went out, the one thing that happened, Donovan was able to see the rim. And if you're a scorer, the most dangerous thing for a scorer to have happen to you, when you're trying to lock him up, he got a layup, he got to the foul line. Now he's cooking, so by the time you guard him, you can't just leave Paul George out there on the island. And it was selfish for them not to, it was a lack of respect for him not to throw a double, not to be there and help, and not to be committed at the end of the game when you got to win.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the opening acts on film when they get
man.
And like I say, get it out of his hands, man. He's been showing all signs of being dynamic, and late in the game, he came through clutch for those guys. He's my rookie of the year, I promise.
Yeah, you know, I think you got to give Rubio a lot of credit too, because we talk about his shooting. Grip, it's improved as the year has gone on. We talked to him going back a couple of weeks ago, and he's worked really, really hard on that. I know Sam, when he's here, always talks about how hard he's worked on that. Well, guess what? You know, Tia, when they gave him the spot, 5 of 8 from 3. I mean, when they gave him those shots, he hit those shots. Now, they're still probably going to give them to him, but you got to give him a lot of credit. 22 points, 9 assists, 5 of 8 from three-point line.
And he had a run the second half of the season where, for a good stretch, he was shooting better than 40% from 3. And he was feeling very comfortable there. And he's taking the one he has to take as well.
Yep.
And we've talked about this relative to DeMar DeRozan in the past. When you don't take the swing open 3 and you pull it down and you take a worse shot, or you put another teammate in a worse position with the shot clock running down, that hurts you more than missing the 3 you're supposed to take, because your floor spacing's better, your balance is better. And I think Utah leaned on Ricky to really implored him, just shoot that one and we'll deal with it. And he got much more comfortable because of that, because he wasn't afraid of missing anymore. He was told it's your job to take that shot. And I think it makes it a lot easier for a guy who ultimately just wants to make everybody else better.
You know, it's funny what frustrates me. You have Ingles and you have Rubio on the floor. Go ahead.
Here's Quinn Snyder after the win on the Utah side.
What Coach Pop has meant to us, and just want to offer our condolences for his loss. And
Coach Michael Kenny, UConn Review. They go on a 19-0 run there in the third, but y'all were able to respond. What was the key?
Well, I think as much as anything, I think our team stayed together. And there was a timeout when there was just a determination, and I think we felt like we just needed to rely on our defense, and that's what we did. Donovan obviously, his aggressiveness on the offensive end, fueled us there, and that the combination of those two things, I think, the determination on defense, I think, was a function of that run, and we were really stagnant offensively. The ball wasn't moving; it was sticking. When we do that, we have to defend.
Coach Rod Zundel, KSL, you talk about your defense and determination on defense, but holding the big three to only 2 points in the fourth quarter, that's incredible.
Well, that's I think that we've said the strength of our team is our team, and obviously we had some really good individual performances defensively, but you don't that doesn't happen unless collectively you're connected and you're defending as a unit. So obviously those guys, Carmelo had a stretch in the first half and early second where he was really hard to guard. They can do that. And game one, was a different story. And, sometimes you can play as well defensively as you can, and those guys are so talented that they're going to score anyway. And tonight we were fortunate that some of the shots that they were hitting in game one or earlier, weren't going in, and we were getting the rebound.
Coach, Brady Trantham, Thunder Digest. Steven Adams picks up 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, goes out about the 6:40 mark, and then is out of the game for 11 minutes. And then Derek Favors is able to pretty much feast on the offensive glass. Do you feel like that was an emphasis going into game 2 that you guys didn't have in game 1? Well,
Rudy was in foul trouble too, so that those things happen in the game, and Jay Crowder picked up 3 fouls in the first half. So I think, regardless of who's on the floor, we have to defend. Rudy obviously anchors us, and I thought we felt like Derek offensively was really good in game 1, and he was really good on the offensive glass, especially during that stretch. And a couple times he had it, and he was going up strong. He was just relentless.
Coach, can you talk about what Ricky meant to you tonight, especially spacing the floor and just general overall effectiveness running the offense?
Ricky's really, really competitive, and I think the first game he didn't feel like he played as well as he can. And I remember sitting by him yesterday. He was watching film with Igor and just digging in on not just offensively but defensively as well. And he did a great job, especially early in the game, finding people on the floor and getting everybody involved, and particularly in pick and roll, just making reads that we didn't make in the first game. And when he does that, he starts a chain on our offense that we need. We're going to have to move it, and guys are going to have to drive it and kick it and share it for us to generate shots. And our guys know that, and they have to be committed to that.
Did you feel that Donovan was conserving energy at all, or was there any way you felt his play was affected by his injury?
It certainly wasn't apparent. I think, if he was feeling something, he didn't show it, and he played through it. As I said, I think the thing about Donovan's game is he just continued to attack. And I thought when he really got aggressive going to the rim, some other things open up. I don't know what he was from 3, but during that stretch when we were getting stops, he was really aggressive attacking the basket, and that's what we need to do. If we get stops, we have to try to take advantage and convert. We haven't been a great conversion team all year, and that's something we talk about and work on. But Donovan converted.
Coach, do you consider it somewhat of a luxury that you can have seconds in the game where Derek was great early, Ricky in the middle, Donovan at the end? Is that kind of a luxury you got to have?
I wouldn't call it a luxury as much as an identity. I don't think any one of those guys, they all need each other, and they all know that. So if one guy's, making plays, I think sometimes we see the guy that's scoring, and with our group, there's usually a couple people that have done something previously, to generate an opportunity, and we stay committed to that. It's not easy because, everybody's got to be unselfish and be willing to attack on their teammate, for their teammate, and that's been the balance we've had this year, and I think our guys identify with it. Okay.
Just Rudy making those free throws. He struggled in the last couple games. What would you feel when you saw him step to the line?
I was glad he got to the line, because either meant he went strong to the basket and got fouled, or he got a defensive rebound. And Rudy believes in himself. We believe in him. It wasn't long ago that people were fouling him at the end of the game to put him on the line, and he's probably upset right now that he didn't make more of them. I think when he gets it down there and we come away with one of two or whatever, he takes great pride in that. He works on it, and I think our whole team has confidence in him when he steps to the line.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay.
Quinn Snyder obviously very happy talking about his team, discussing some of what we've talked about, not only the work from Favors, but also talking about Donovan Mitchell, and where a lot of it is positive as we wait to hear from Billy Donovan. You think of the negative. I've been staring at this card the whole time. It doesn't have the lotto numbers, people. Don't get excited. But it says the big three 0 for 14 with 2 points in the fourth quarter. You think about those names. Look, Mr. First Team, I don't care who's defending any of it. You cannot tell me that somebody's not open when you got three of those guys.
Exactly. I think going over 14 down the stretch, it was just a matter of them picking who going to take over the game at this point. I think they were a little indecisive, and then as the game went on, I think, let's live it.
Here's Billy Donovan.
I was fortunate enough to go to San Antonio, and I had a chance to spend a lot of time with Pop, actually 3 days, and couldn't have been any more gracious to me when I was in college, and welcomed me with open arms, took me to dinner, spent a lot of time with him, and then coming here to OKC, he's always reached out to me, and obviously I was really upset to hear about the passing of his wife, and my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and I just wanted to say that before this started about the game, because I was really moved by it when I found the news out after the game was over with, and I really feel bad for him and his family, and my prayers and thoughts are with them. The game, I thought the first half, a couple things. I thought we turned the ball over too much in the first half. I think we had 9 turnovers. The offensive rebounding really was a factor. I thought there was significant runs in the game in the second half by both teams. We kind of dug ourselves out of a 9-point hole and took a pretty substantial lead, and give them credit, they kind of came charging back. Certainly the second half, I thought the free throw line was a factor. We had some opportunities to score. We just didn't score enough in that fourth quarter. So, we'll have to, go back and look at the tape and get prepared and ready to move on and go to Utah.
Coach, Michael Kenny, UConn Review. At the end, those last 2-3 possessions, did you get the shots that you wanted?
We had. I thought we had some good shots. I did not think that. I think the entire game we could have executed better. I thought the first half we got stagnant offensively. Some of that had to do with the turnovers. We were never in a rhythm or a flow. There was no momentum. There was no flow we had. I thought in the third quarter we really played exceptionally well. I thought we moved the ball, did some really good things in the second half. And then even when we got downhill and got to the rim, we just couldn't make enough plays. But I thought for the most part, the guys in the second half generated a lot better shots than we did in the first half.
Hey, Billy, Donovan Mitchell obviously really effective early in the fourth quarter, but Corey had been really good on him. Did you think at all about possibly trying to get Corey back on him earlier, maybe slow him down a little bit?
Corey did a good job, but we had kind of changed some coverages, and we were getting hurt on the glass. I think having Jeremy in there was a reason just to try to secure some of the rebounding, because I thought, in that first half, the way Favors was rebounding and Gobert was rebounding, it was a problem for us, and the reason why they had to lead at the half. And with what we were doing defensively, we were going to be in some positions where we were going to have some guards on some bigs, and we needed to do a better job rebounding than we did in the first half. And I thought Jeremy played a very, very good game. I thought he gave us some good minutes there. Obviously came back with Corey when Steven fouled out. But, again, with the way we were playing defense and the things that we were doing, I didn't think the defense was that major of a problem. He was 10 for 25. It's not like he shot a really high percentage. He made some great shots coming down the stretch, but I thought we put him to the free throw line too much. And then for us, we couldn't score. We scored 16 points in the fourth quarter. That was a challenge for us as well.
Coach Billy, Steven Adams seemed kind of bothered by his wrist. Do you feel that kind of played into him picking up 2 quick fouls and just kind of having kind of a bad night during the game, or was it just simply one of those nights?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with his wrist or him. I mean, I think he's fine. I thought it was very difficult for him tonight. He was in foul trouble. He picked up 2 fouls pretty quickly in the first quarter. We had to get him back, and then he went back in there in the second quarter. I got him off at the end of the second because I didn't want to pick up his third. He picked up 2 pretty quick fouls in the third quarter, and they kind of came back in the fourth. And I don't think Steven was ever able to get into a flow or a rhythm for himself. Because he was battling foul trouble. And probably, Gobert probably went through the same thing in game one.
And with Russell in transition, it seemed like the Jazz really made an effort to do Euro fouls. Did you feel like that had any
to do what's that now?
Euro fouls?
What is that?
Fouling him in transition. Oh. Did you feel like that had any influence on Russell's rhythm tonight?
No. I think sometimes when you do that, it moves you closer to the bonus. I think most NBA teams, most NBA players do that. When there's a disadvantage for the defense and they don't want to give up a layup or an open shot, they'll do that. So I don't think it broke Russell's rhythm at all.
Fred Katz, Norman Transcript. Billy, did you feel like any of the fourth quarter offensive struggles? I mean, I know often you guys only have 3 or fewer shooters on the floor. Do you feel like any of the offensive struggles just came from the fact that they weren't necessarily guarding the perimeter on some of the below-average three-point shooters out there?
I'm sorry.
Did you feel like any of the offensive struggles in the fourth quarter came from the fact that the Jazz were helping pretty hard off of the three-point shooters, or was it just a case of missing shots?
No, I mean, listen, Jeremy had a wide-open 3 from the corner. I thought Paul got downhill one time. He had a great opportunity to finish. There were some plays. Patrick had a couple of shots around the basket, early in the quarter. We didn't finish. Ray missed a 3, made a 3. Russell had a couple pull-ups that I thought were wide open that were really, really good looks. I thought Melo got a couple good threes. So I think our main guys got pretty good looks, and I thought we moved the ball to the open man. I thought we even had times when we rolled to the basket and we had a presence at the basket, we had a hard time finishing there as well. We just didn't score enough points.
2 more.
Billy, I just kind of want to clarify. Is there nothing wrong with Steven's wrist specifically, or just no injury at all with him in his right arm, shoulder, anything?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, again, when the one thing I would say about our guys that I respect is that when those guys go on the floor and play, whatever ailments they're having or dealing with, they're certainly cleared to play. I think this time of year probably nobody feels great, but there was nothing that I'm aware of that's limiting Steven. I'm sure, as much as he puts his body in play and as physical as he is as a player and the way he sacrifices his body for the team, I'm sure there's probably different things that he could be dealing with. But there was nothing that was mentioned to me that said, hey, listen, take him out. He's limited. I don't know if he can play. There was nothing like that.
Anyone else? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Russell will be next.
Billy Donovan and OKC headed to Utah. We head to Cleveland. Check out another big night for LeBron. We come back here on Game Time.